The Taxidermy Witch, and we are talking about ashes in witchcraft. And we are also talking from this wicked amazing book by Scott Cunningham and David Harrington, The Magical Household. We'll also be talking about I'll be reading the whole chapter on the hearth. It's not long, as this book's not long, but it is so awesome. So, where do we source ashes from? Let's talk about that first in my own words before we get into this. I source ashes from good sources, like incense that burns, coal discs that burn, and then I save all my incense in a very special one. I mark it that this was, it says smudge or incense's ash, okay? So when I'm done with that, they literally go into the jar, okay? And then I'm clean and ready for a new one, okay? So that's how I collect that ash, and again, it's what comes from a coal disc when they burn down, okay? A coal disc is essentially the same thing as a barbecue charcoal, and if you were trying to make black witch's salt with coal disc, and you didn't have coal disc, or they're quite expensive if you really break it down, you could use barbecue charcoal instead. It's really got that black color to it. You'll really like it. That being said, where's the other place I get my ash from? Before I tell you that, I want to tell you where I don't collect ash from. Now, you know I'm someone who is like a gray worker, which means I work with both hands, but I do them at different times. Like, I use white eggshells sometimes, but it's really only for the darker work. Okay, I use brown happy eggshells for lighter happy work, love, things like that. Okay. These types of ash, fireplace ash and incense ash, are good ash because this fireplace ash protected you. It was burned from beautiful local woods, etc. in our case. This incense ash you used to cleanse your home. It's clean, okay? Good purpose. A bad ash is an ash that was used to cook meat, like barbecue. Now, if it's a vegetarian barbecue, that's completely different. Those ashes they're good, they're okay. But if you're collecting barbecue ash from meat, let me tell you why that's a negative energy attached to it. That animal probably, unless you're buying organic meat or hunting yourself, that animal probably wasn't raised the best, didn't have the best life, and then it was killed for food. Not probably the happiest spirit attached. And if you believe like I do, the spirit of that animal is still laying there in the meat, and then it attaches to the ashes from the barbecue. So I do keep those ashes, but again, I keep them separate. My barbecue ashes, it'll say right on the front, meat barbecue ashes, and I'll have a negative symbol on there. These ashes are pure and clean and happiness. The fireplace ash is amazing because it protected your family, especially in the winter. These ashes, because the fireplace that I have, sadly, the fireplace I have is a gas fireplace. So these ashes are from my mother's, and that fire kept their house warm. Like, I can't really find a way to explain to you how protective a fire is. We cannot live without it. It's kind of right there with shelter. Fire, shelter, food, water. It's one of the basics. So this protects you and keeps you alive, keeps you warm, keeps you flourishing, keeps you happy, but really keeps you breathing. So when that's burned to protect you, it's got that protection still attached to it. It's got that warmth, love, and happiness attached to it as well. Okay. When you burn these to cleanse your area, it's pushing out negativity, not leaving it in the ashes. You know, it's more like pushing it out of the home. Whereas the ash left behind is now a symbol or a remembrance of that positivity. Okay, so we've talked about why barbecue ashes are much different than a barbecued meat from fireplace ashes. Now, let's get into this book and let's read through the chapter of the hearth. It's so exciting. And I have to tell you, if you look up in all these books, you'll find ash. You'll find ash in all of them. But they're talking about ash, the tree. So you want to look up in the index ashes. And I only found one book with ashes. You have to use your own intuition, your own understanding of what that means for you, your research, your own science, your own hypotheses. You know, note down things in your book of shadows, and you'll be able to see what works for you and why on the things where you can't find a lot of information, like ashes. Okay, so it says ashes, page 11, page 13, and page 140. I'm going to read you page 140 because the other two are in the whole chapter of the hearth, which we're reading the whole chapter. So, did you guys know that opposite Samhain is Beltane? And that's the other time, 6 months post, when the veil is also the thinnest. Beltane is right there, the last day of April over into May 1st. There's so many cool things attached with Beltane, especially if you get the chance to collect the dew the next morning. I mean, you're supposed to be blessed the whole entire year. So let's talk about Beltane. Now that veil is quite thin. That's another great time to do things you would do on Samhain. To guard your home against the intense magical powers at work on Beltane, aka the veil being thin and spirits, is what I'm guessing. Mark a cross in the ashes of the hearth or the fireplace with a hazel twig, or carry elder twigs 3 times around the house and then hang them up inside or place outside over the door. So you would take a piece of hazelwood, however big you wanted it to be. It could be this big or it could be this big. And you take it and you put it in your fireplace ashes and you carve... you mark a cross, just in the ashes, okay? Now that is protecting you from all those wild forces that are up and around when the veil is so thin, okay? Alright, and now let's read the chapter on the hearth. So excited. Okay, the hearth, and I'll show you the picture that's in here. There's the cutest little pictures in this book, I have to tell you that. Okay. And I think it's funny that I have this shirt on because we're doing Ashes Explosion. Yeah. Okay, the hearth. Before the days of central heating, the hearth was the center of the home, the protectant of life during cold winter months, the heat for all cooking meals, and the gathering place of the household. Indeed, since primitive times, the hearth has been the most popular as well as the warmest place in the home. Today, fireplaces are rarities in new homes and apartments. The necessity of the past is fast becoming a present-day luxury. Not in this house. We use oil lamps and fireplaces and whatnot. It's good to know how to do. Fireplaces often increase house prices and are seldom used. In old homes, fireplaces are often in such poor shape that they're nothing more than fire hazards. You guys, if you're going to use your fireplace, make sure it's not a fire hazard. I love the Beatles. We're listening to the Love album, and it's what Vegas turned into their Cirque du Soleil show. I love that show. I don't think it's still there anymore, but it's great. Okay. Fire has a special attraction for many of us. Within its hypnotic movements and fragrant smoke lie the origins of many religions. Fire was once supernatural, a divine substance stolen from the deities. It can be traced to early religious and magical rites around the world, and flames are still found on the altars of many established religions. Magically, fire is the element of transformation, though its work, true change occurs. Through its work, true change occurs. It is seen as kin to the spark of life that exists within all things. It can be destructive, true, but it also creates. Change can occur only with the destruction of the old. I love that line. It's just so important. to resonate with you, I think. Change can only occur within us with destruction of the old. The very nature of destruction is creation. In the days before matches were really readily available, the fire in the house was never allowed to die. Now, this part of the lore of the hearth is so, like, it gets me, like, it makes it something different when you start to work with these things and realize how precious they used to be. Some of these Peggy's ashes I'm keeping for Lily, like for when she gets old, because who knows if these will be things of the past or not. I mean, I would hope not, and I think the future is going to be more reverting back, but who knows, like, things like this, you know, this kept my grandparents, who are now passed away, you know, 30 years from now, warm. Really special magical ingredient. If I wanted to work with my parents after they passed away, I could use the ashes from a fire that kept them warm in life, you know, things like this. They chop that wood from the tree, and then they split the wood, and then they stack the wood, and then they dry the wood, and then they burn the wood, and, like, there's so much to it. All those energies are still attached in here, you guys. All really positive, and protective. So, back in those days, the fire in the house was never allowed to die, except on ritual occasions. At night, the coals were banked up so that new flames would spring from them in the morning. It was considered unfortunate if the household fire extinguished itself. When this occurred, hot coals had to be borrowed from a neighbor's. Like, this is what really happened. If the coals died while being transported, it was a sign that the family was in for a troubled future. In this age of microwave ovens and electric ranges, it is difficult to imagine the importance of fire only a half a century ago. And that's what I'm saying, it's not that far away. As late as the 1960s, Scott's grandmother stoked her cast iron stove with wood early in the morning. Just before sunrise, and this is Scott Cunningham, the author of the book. It's something that he reflects back to about the hearth in his childhood and what he remembers, and that to me is so special. Scotty, thank you for sharing that. As late as the 1960s, Scott's grandmother stoked her cast iron stove with wood early in the morning, just before sunrise, to warm the farmhouse's kitchen and to brew coffee. At night, before the advent of radio and television, when few could read or write, the household would gather before the fire and share stories of times past, preserving family lore and educating the young. All would watch the flames or omens of the future. So they were fire scrying. Like, I mean, obviously Scotty's from a magical household, but how many of us have just meditated and not even realized it into the fire? There's a great meditation for beginners. Watch the fire and scry into it. See where your mind goes. I promise you, I don't think you'll be thinking about those bills. I think your mind will be somewhere really awesome. Really awesome. I'll hold your hand. So I lit the fire because obviously I should have had it going this whole video. We're talking about ashes. Fire. Okay, so fire and magic have been associated for eons. Both have incredible potential for good and evil, thus both must be handled with care. The fireplace can be viewed as the heart of the house, as well as an altar to the forces of nature that have shaped our world, and with which we transform our lives. We need not worship the fire to enjoy and utilize it, but the fireplace is often given special attention in magical households. Upon moving into a new house, for example, magicians who work with fire often restore the fireplace to its former state of glory. Bricks are scrubbed to remove years of smoke deposits. Andrians, the guardian of the fireplace, I should look into that, or if you guys know anything about it, please put it in the comments for me. They are polished and ashes are swept up and safely deposited, for they are considered things of power. Because, so yeah, I was supposed to circle that ash bit. Ashes, things of power, absolutely. Okay, because the chimney is a magical entrance to the house, witness the confused ideas of Santa Claus descending from the chimney and witches flying up it astride brooms. It has long been magically guarded. So only supernatural things go through chimneys, like Santa and witches. Yes, that's right, I did snort. I don't care. Alright. So, it has long been magically guarded. Plants are often utilized in such rites, perhaps not surprisingly, since they are consumed within the fireplace. Olive branches hung on the chimney keep it secure and serve to deflect lightning strikes. Pine needles scattered in the fireplace or cypress laying on the hearth will similarly work for the fireplace as a whole. A lady slipper orchid hung from the chimney prevents outsiders from casting spells against the home's inhabitants. You guys, I need a lady slipper flower for protection, just for general protection. That would cover my butt. I need that. Crossing the poker and tongs before the fireplace. Like this, I think. Prevent sparks from popping out onto the floor and magically cancels any negative energies that might float down through it. That's awesome. So putting that X in front of it will guard any bad spirits that might come down. Again, a supernatural thing comes down and now you've guarded it from coming into the home. A horseshoe laying in the ashes guards the entire fireplace. A jar of salt on the hearth comes in handy in times of argument, tensions, or danger of any kind. Simply throw a pinch in the flames and its cleansing powers, when released by the flames, bless your home. 3 circles drawn with white chalk on the hearth ban evil from entering. This was commonly done in England until quite recently and may still continue today. They were using witchcraft before, now they just call it a superstition. Most superstitions are witchcraft. And it's funny because people have superstitions to protect them against, like, evil things. Oh, guys, witches aren't evil. They're not. We're not. Are we? I'm not. Are you? I don't know. Oh, boy. Alright, do you guys like this candle I made? I don't know how safe it is, but it's pretty, and I put 3 flames together, which I really love the Trinity. Okay, so where are we at? 3 circles drawn. A new hearthstone is blessed by covering it with salt and sketching a pentagram, a 5-pointed star, on it. A pentagram periodically redrawn in the ashes renews the spell. So when you redraw in the ashes, it'll renew the spell. The starting of fire is once a rare event, because remember, you didn't let them go out. You needed it. Is filled with lore. According to tradition, fires must have at least 13 sticks to burn properly. Really? That's cool information. It is considered unwise to look directly at the fire while lighting it. Alex, you gotta stop doing that, babe. I think a lot of us, when we light the barbecue or the pit or whatever, just don't look, just or peripheral vision, but don't look directly at it when you light it. As if the process were sacred and not meant for human eyes. Because remember, in the stories, we stole fire from the gods. So, to honor the fact that we have it, don't look directly at it while you light it. not sacred and not meant for human eyes. Doing so will not only hinder the fire burning, but it also may bring bad luck to the entire household. So also, you guys, if you guys are lighting your candles and looking at it while you're lighting them, like with a lighter, that's, I think, the same thing. I use a match, and I do look, but maybe I shouldn't now. I don't know. Think about it, and let me know what you guys think as well. Untold thousands of spells have been cast by firelight or within the fireplace itself. Fireplace magic. When the fireplace was cold, witches and magicians raked the ashes into a circle on the hearth, then cast spells within the circle. A blazing fire is useful or simple for transformative spells, such as those in which dragon's blood, rosemary, and rose petals are cast into the flames. Such actions, accompanied by the proper visualization, brings love to the spellmaker. Nettles thrown into the fire conquer fear, when vervain dispels the pangs of unrequited love. I think that's when you love someone and they have no interest in you. Isn't it? Unrequited love, where did you go? Wish magic is easily performed at the fire. If you wish for something, poke the flame 13 times with the poker, visualizing your wish. At one time, women who had lost their men to rivals would calmly sit before the fire on 7 consecutive nights, casting salt into its heat in an attempt to draw their husbands back home. The type of wood burned within the fireplace can affect spells immensely. So find out what you're burning and quit it with the Presto logs. Like, try and at least do some just for magic where you're cutting it for your fireplace and drying it out. Look on Craigslist, there's free wood out there. Just make sure you're doing it safely with a big man to help you or whatever. Just do it safe because you're not going to be able to meet in public for that one. You're going to have to go, to the home. So, look into it though. Let's see. The type of wood burned in the fireplace can affect spells immensely. Oak is burned during healing magic when someone in the home is sick. This helps to draw off the illness, aids in recovery, and guards the rest of the household from contracting the sickness. Applewood is burned before lovers meet at home or as an adjunct to love spells. Ash logs promote energy. Pine brings money into the home, and juniper offers protection. I love juniper. My uncle makes these juniper bowls that I'm going to try and sell to you guys. They are amazing. Like all kinds of wood, but the juniper ones, they smell. They make you just want to cry inside. They smell so good. And they look so beautiful. These big black knots in them. Oh boy. Okay. So, perhaps one of the most common magical rites performed near the fireplace is fire gazing. Some old adepts claimed that gazing into the fire at midnight produces the best results, especially for seeing visions of the future. I've done that, and that actually, I agree. It wasn't a candle fire like this, it was an actual fireplace, and I think that's what they're talking about, but if all you have is a candle, you make it work for you, you know? If you wish to summon the faces of absent friends, sit to the left of a fire, stir the logs with a poker, and in your right hand, and watch the embers. Their faces will appear in the coals. Fire gazing is a wonderful pastime, and with practice can develop one's psychic powers to a fine pinch. That's why I'm going to be tuning mine up. I would like to develop my psychic powers to a fine pinch. Come on. If you have an affinity for fire, you may wish to try this. Yes, as a child, I was called a pyromaniac, and luckily I didn't hurt anyone or burn anything down, but I did like to light anything and everything I could to see what happened. And my mom nipped that in the bud pretty quick when I was young, so that's good. But we're drawn to fire for a reason, you know, and it's just trying to figure out what that reflection, what that reason is, in my opinion. Okay, beep. Sit comfortably before the fire. This is how we do the fire gazing. Sit comfortably before the fire. Wait until the flames have died down and a sea of glowing reddish-orange coals stretches out before you. Still your mind. Gaze with half-opened eyes. Can you see that, you guys? It's where you just see your eyelashes and you just have this, like, barely anything in a horizon. But you can still see. So, you have those half-opened eyes. And at the constantly pulsating, so gaze with half-open eyes at the constantly pulsating and changing embers. Don't will yourself to see pictures or visions. Relax and allow yourself the experience. If symbols appear, interpret them according to your own intuition. Again, interpret them according to your own intuition. Don't go looking them up in books. It's important in this. Dion Fortune, in her classic magical novel, The Sea High Priestess, served the custom of fire gazing in a blaze made of sandalwood, juniper, and cedar logs. Oh my goodness, that's awesome. A simpler method consists of... I just did a video on cedar right before this. Check that out. A simpler method consists of combing ground sandalwood, cedar, and juniper and tossing this mixture into the coals just prior to gazing. Okay. So, fireplaces are often what's that? I don't know that word. Prognosticators of the home life. Sparks scattered in showers of gold from the chimney signal money in the future of the observer. A fire sparkling brightly is a sign of rain. A blue flame in the fire, or a mass of blue flames, indicates a snap of cold weather coming. If the fire catches and lights quickly when you set it, expect unexpected company. The lazy housekeeper who allows ashes to pile up beyond reasonable amounts should remove them quickly, for this is a sign that the rent will increase. I thought that was a fun one. In magical thought, ashes are sacred. Scattering them over the house and the roof protects it from damage caused by lightning. Strewing ashes in a dark corner of the house protects it from burning down, while carrying in a small bag of ashes wards off evil, accidents, and dis-ease. The ashes from magical fires or spells, or even normal ashes, are used in a wide variety of spells related to the element of fire. Ashes can be used to increase courage when carried in a red cloth sack, like I make. You know, these hoodoo sacks I make for the mojo bags. Energy when smeared on the body in a tiny area. Awesome! That's such cool information. And healing when placed around a purple candle. Ashes not used in spells are often buried in isolated places, not only out of the respect of the old fire deities, but also to seal any spells with which they may have been involved. So you want to bury your ashes, you guys, as a respect to the fire deities. Just 100 years ago, every fireplace had a cauldron. Just 100 years ago, every fireplace had a cauldron. Wow. If its 3 legs left a print in the ashes were quickly stirred because evil spirits could use the imprints as the cauldron itself can cause mischief to the genuine article. Wow, that's amazing. The importance of the fireplace cannot be overstated. One sign of a contented home is a cat sitting on the hearth. Some say that you'll never have a good luck in a new house until the chimney has been blackened with smoke. Sitting before a fire on a cold winter's night, sipping hot cider and gazing into the flames and embers directly aligns us with peoples of the past who viewed fire and religion as one. If you have a fireplace, use it, for it's a tremendous boon to the magical household. Smoke rising from a chimney traditionally denotes a happy life for those residing inside. May your chimney always be smoking. Scotty, I love you. David Harrington, that was wicked. You guys, that was so much fun. And right here at the end of the video, I just want to show you up close these ashes from Peggy's. Cedar, pine, ashes from her fireplace. Ashes you can collect from your incense. And here's the start of it all. The cedar. I had such a fun time with you guys. Thanks for joining me, Jen the Taxidermy Witch. Have a beautiful day.